I can't believe that Comme des Garçons launched 5 fragrances last year. That's 5 whole fragrances. And this is a brand that doesn't get much hype in the fragrance community. And I feel like it should. Because I feel like even though Comme des Garçons is a designer house, a fashion house, they have clothing, they have the most unique fragrances. Fragrances that are not similar to other, designer houses. Some may be, but I think they have very, very unique fragrances, and they do a lot of collaborations as well. So out of the 5 fragrances, I've got 4 fragrances here today that I'm going to talk to you about in this video, and it's a ranked list. So if you want to find out about these 4 fragrances, 4 out of 5 fragrances from Comme des Garçons that were launched in 2021, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian, and yes, today I'm talking about Comme des Garçons. This is a house that I've really started to fall in love with in the last, 3, 4, 5 years. But you know what? Dating back to 1999 or 2000 is when I first sampled their fragrances. I bought one of their very, very first fragrances, and I wore that thing for a long time. It was so different than anything else I was wearing back then. But now I'm really enjoying a lot of their latest releases, and that's why I've decided to put this video together to showcase the 4 fragrances from last year. I can't believe it, but a designer like Comme des Garçons launches so many fragrances, and they're all very, very unique fragrances. Anyway, today I'm talking about the 4 fragrances from Comme des Garçons from 2021. Before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning in and you still haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So I used to shop for Comme des Garçons fragrances at Barney's, but Barney's is no longer in business. But if you're in San Francisco or you're in the United States, my go-to source now is ZGO Perfumery, as they have such a great quantity of Comme des Garçons fragrances. If you're nearby, you can stop in and smell the fragrances, and I highly recommend this house for very niche style offerings, not traditional designer type of fragrances. So there's a ZGO Perfumery discount code. Unfortunately, it does not apply on Comme des Garçons fragrances. If you are in town and you stop in, or you can order online, you can use the code Perfume Guy. There are a few brands that are not on the discount code, but you can always use it for the brands that are qualified for the discount code. Also, wanted to mention, I am planning on doing a top 20 Comme des Garçons fragrances video, and I'm going to feature all the fragrances that I have in my collection in a ranked video. So stay tuned for that in a few weeks. But let's go ahead and get started on this list of 4 out of 5 fragrances from last year, 2021. But I do want to mention the 5th fragrance that I'm not featuring here. Not only I'm not featuring it because it's a full-on marine aquatic fragrance. It's called Stussy Laguna Beach. Also, I've never seen it anywhere, so I don't know where that fragrance is. Probably order it online, something like that. But since it is a marine fragrance, my favorite fragrances are not marine fragrances, I decided to skip that one. So the 5th fragrance is not going to be featured. But the 4th fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Sunscreen. This came out last year, and I bought this fragrance from ZGO Perfumery, of all places. That's where I go for Comme des Garçons. And I like the idea of this particular fragrance. It's a beachy kind of a fragrance, sweet coconutty, but also kind of plasticky. Like that little toy that you blow up and kind of float on in pools and perhaps the sea. It kind of has that kind of a smell. So it's a very, very unique take on this kind of beachy, coconutty fragrance that only Comme des Garçons can come up with the type of smell and theme. So this particular fragrance is a 2021 launch. As I said, it's unisex, and it features notes of solar notes, coconut, peach, heliotrope, musk, cedar, lily of the valley, and bergamot. So in the end, it's a very musky fragrance, and you're going to figure out that a lot of these fragrances today in today's video tend to be musky fragrances. They have major musky, qualities to them, and this one definitely does. But this one is totally coconutty and very, very powdery. The heliotrope also, it features a little bit of a light almondy touch, but it blends beautifully together. So not only is it coconutty and powdery, but very, very musky, and there's some light vanillic touches in there because the heliotrope and also the coconut, so there is a little bit of vanillic touch to it, but also gets a little lactonic, so it's a little milky as well. But definitely you experience this kind of plasticiness, kind of like smelling that little toy that you would, you know, blow up and float on in the water. So it's that kind of a coconutty, beachy fragrance. It's not marine or aquatic, but Comme des Garçons had two kind of beachy kind of themed fragrances. The Stussy Laguna Beach, and then of course this one, Sunscreen. I put this one here at number 4, but it's tied with number 3. So I'm starting with number 4, Comme des Garçons Sunscreen, but it's tied with the next fragrance. But let me know if you're a fan of Sunscreen. Are you familiar with the fragrance? Have you sampled it? Do you like it? Do you own a bottle? Let me know what your thoughts are. And also let me know if you have sampled Stussy Laguna Beach. Is that something you enjoy? Because as I said, I haven't seen it at ZGO Perfumery. I don't know if it's got a wide release, but we're starting off with Sunscreen at number 4. But it is definitely tied with number 3. And number 3 is just making its way out right now. And it's a very, very unique fragrance focusing on cannabis. And this is called Ganja. So Ganja, once again, is unisex. All the fragrances in today's video are unisex, at least to me they are, and they're targeted unisex. But this particular one, I think, leans the most masculine out of every single other one. And also, this one is not as musky as the other 3 fragrances, so the least musky. But this is a total green take on a fragrance, and it's cannabis. Cannabis is green. Cannabis also comes off kind of camphoric, weed-like, also kind of herbal. Eucalyptus comes to mind. There's like a kind of camphoric, kind of like bitter, minty, kind of piney kind of a smell. It's captured here. But it does get ambery in the base. It settles to kind of an ambery experience. But it features cannabis, mate, mastic resin, patchouli, olibanum, cumin, black pepper, Guaiac wood. It does get a little ambery, but it's more of a, you know, fresh amber rather than like a warm, spicy amber. But it's definitely very, very spicy. And you've got that mate note. So the cannabis and the mate together creates kind of a very green experience. It's very leafy, green, herbal. And again, it's got this kind of like herbal, bitter herbs kind of a quality, camphoric quality, kind of pine needles, you know, eucalyptus leaves kind of an experience. It's just chock full of them. But lots of spices. You definitely get to recognize or notice the cumin note. If you're very, very sensitive to it, you'll definitely notice it. For me, it's not an overdose of cumin though, but it's definitely a spicy experience. There's also, I should say, there's also sort of like vegetal qualities in here as well. It's just a very, very green experience. So if you like the idea of vegetation, herbs, leaves, twigs, and, you know, camphor and things like that, definitely check out Ganja. So I'm putting this at number 3, but as I said, both of these are tie. Ganja and Sunscreen are tied together. I think they're very, very equally loved by me, but I decided to go with 4 Sunscreen, 3 Ganja. All right, the next 2 are really, really great. In fact, I really love the next 2. If I like number 4 and number 3, I really love 2 and 1. And number 2, first I didn't think it was really, really great, but then I kept coming back to it and really, really enjoy it. It's kind of sort of similar to number 1, but then it's not. This is Mirror by Kaws, this one right here. Have you guys sampled this one? So this is a powdery experience, very, very kind of a citrus flowers is what comes to mind. So if you like the idea of orange blossom, but it's more citrus floral powdery rather than the citrus fruit powdery, then you're going to like this one. But it's also very, very musky once again. It's an overdose of musk here. I really like that about it. The powder, the musk, there's ambery qualities because it features a note called Sinfonide, which is a synthetic amber accord type of a note, so it creates an ambery touch, even though they're not using real amber. But it's powdery notes, orange blossom, neroli, sinfonide, cashmeran, turmeric, and benzoin. When you first spray the fragrance, you'll definitely experience the turmeric, that spice, very, very unique spice, right? It doesn't come up too frequently in fragrances. It does here. And I think turmeric as a spice powder has a powdery quality as well, so it kind of blends well with the powdery touches of this particular fragrance. But definitely it's an overdose of muskiness, because we've got muskiness from cashmerean. It's definitely musky, but I think the whole entire experience just is a very, very clean, powdery, citrus floral musk bomb. It's really, really good, and I didn't react positively to it. I'm glad I circled back to it, because I would have completely dismissed the fragrance, and then go figure, I've put it at number 2 because of the way it smells on me, and I love the way it smells. It does smell clean, but there are those kind of like, spicy things running throughout it, ambery things, like the ambery touches and things like that. But I think overall it's a very, very clean fragrance that I really enjoy. So Mirror by Kaws is at number 2, and this is number 1. It's so good. It's really, really good. This is Marseille from the house of Comme des Garcons. This is one I've been anticipating for so long. I went to the ZGO perfumery and I bought this there after I smelled it, because I really, really love soapy fragrances. I really, really love clean fragrances. And this one, they've done a great job with it. This is the only one I found a perfumer credited to it. It's Quentin Biche, and he's done an amazing job creating something very, very clean and soapy. It's a very, very soapy experience, but it's also powdery and musky once again. So it's not as powdery as Mirror by Kaws, but it has powdery touches. It also has kind of similar notes. It does have neroli orange blossom like this one does, but they smell different, kind of similar, different takes on fragrances. But this one, it's super soapy, whereas that one doesn't really get soapy as much. And what I like about this one, it's neroli orange blossom, and anytime you see these notes, I associate with soapiness. But with this one, I think they have other notes in here. It tones down its soapy qualities. And I think probably intentionally, because they're launching Marseille, which is supposed to be inspired by soap, because Marseille is known for soap. I've been there 2 or 3 times, and I've bought lots of soap and brought it back home, because I love those kind of big blocky soaps, kind of like vintage classic soaps, historic soaps and things like that. So I think the inspiration is perfect here. But this features neroli, musk, cosmone, Petalia, orange blossom, woods, and amber. But a beautiful creation. I think this is perfect for hot days. If you want that kind of clean feeling, knowing you're going to sweat all day in the heat and humidity, the kind of fragrance I would wear. And I think it has good depth for a very fresh kind of a fragrance. So it has great sticking power, or lingering power is what I should say. But it's not like intense note. It's not like ouds and woods and things like that. So it's clean. So those are not the kind of fragrances I would associate with like beast mode or things like that. But I think as I'm wearing it, I feel like it has good lingering power is what I should say. Either way, Marseille is so good. It's a great soapy fragrances. Those of you that like soapy fragrances should definitely check this one out. I do highly recommend it. And as I said, these fragrances are sold at ZGO Perfumery. If you are in town, stop in and smell these. Or of course, you can always go to their website. And don't forget this discount code. It's Perfume Guy. And that does not apply to Comme des Garcons fragrances, unfortunately. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video on 4 really, really great Comme des Garcons fragrances that were launched in 2021. I'm sorry I don't have the Stussy one. And again, I skipped it because I don't really like marine fragrances. And after I read the notes and read about it, it's a full-on, in-your-face, marine fragrance. So I'm not going to like that one. But I think these 4 are really, really great, and you should definitely check them out. If you like fragrances that are different, not the same fragrances all your friends wear, the ones that shop at Macy's over and over again, those kind of fragrance everybody knows. So if you want to stand out, I think Comme des Garcons is a great, great house to do it with. And as I said also, in 2-3 weeks, I am doing a top 20 Comme des Garcons fragrances video, so stay tuned for that as well. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.